Inflation, it's a word that makes everyone nervous, kind of like hearing your dentist say, this might take a while. Simply put, inflation is when things get more expensive over time. Remember when that candy bar cost $1? Now it's like $2. That's inflation creeping in. Why should we care? Well, when prices go up, our money doesn't go as far. It's like your wallet is shrinking. That means less money for fun stuff, less money to save, and more stress all around. Inflation isn't always a bad thing. A little bit of inflation is normal, like a gentle breeze in the economy. But when it becomes a hurricane, that's when we have problems. We've got to understand inflation because it affects everyone, from the everyday person buying groceries to big companies making decisions. It's a key part of how our world works. The year 2020, remember that? It was a year that changed everything. The world decided to hit the pause button with the COVID-19 pandemic. Factories shut down, borders closed, and life as we knew it came to a standstill. We all became experts at baking sourdough bread, some more successfully than others. Kitchens turned into mini bakeries, and social media was flooded with homemade bread photos. This global timeout had a ripple effect on the economy. Demand for goods plummeted, shelves emptied, and stores closed their doors. Then, almost overnight, everyone wanted to buy everything again. The sudden surge in demand caught everyone off guard. Supply chains, the intricate systems that get products to our doorsteps, went haywire. Ships were stuck at sea, warehouses ran out of stock, and logistics centers were overwhelmed. Imagine a giant game of Jenga, each block representing a part of the global economy. The pandemic pulled out a few too many blocks, destabilizing the entire structure. The whole tower started to wobble, teetering on the edge of collapse. That wobble was the global economy trying to regain its balance, struggling to stay upright. This led to shortages and, you guessed it, inflation. Prices soared as supply couldn't keep up with demand. The pandemic was a stark reminder of how interconnected our world is. Our economies are linked in ways we never fully appreciated. A virus that started on one side of the globe could disrupt economies thousands of miles away, showing just how fragile our systems can be. And as we all know, economic instability can lead to a whole host of other problems, from unemployment to social unrest. The ripple effects are far-reaching and long-lasting. Joe Biden stepped into the presidency during one heck of a time. The economy was reeling from the pandemic, and inflation was on the rise. So what did he do? He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Biden's approach was like a two-pronged attack. First, he focused on getting the pandemic under control. More vaccines, more testing, more support for businesses. The idea was that a healthier population would lead to a healthier economy. Second, Biden tackled supply chain issues head-on. He worked to ease bottlenecks at ports, invested in domestic manufacturing, and tried to diversify supply chains to make them less vulnerable to future shocks. Think of it like fixing a leaky faucet while also unclogging the drain. Biden's plan aimed to address both the immediate symptoms of inflation and the underlying causes. Section 4, the trump card, a different approach to economics. Now let's rewind the clock a bit to the Donald Trump era, a time marked by bold and often controversial economic decisions. Trump's economic playbook was all about deregulation and tax cuts, particularly for businesses and the wealthy. He believed that reducing the tax burden on these groups would stimulate investment and job creation. His theory was that this would unleash economic growth, a rising tide that would lift all boats. The idea was to create a more dynamic and competitive business environment. Did it work? Well, the jury's still out on that one. While some metrics showed positive trends, others were less conclusive. The economy did experience a period of growth under Trump, but it's important to note that unemployment was already on a downward trend when he took office. This makes it difficult to attribute all the gains solely to his policies. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, throwing a wrench into the economic machinery. Trump's response to the pandemic was, let's say, unconventional. He often downplayed the severity of the virus and resisted widespread lockdowns. He pushed for a quick reopening of the economy, arguing that prolonged shutdowns would cause more harm than good. This stance was highly polarizing. Some argued this approach exacerbated the economic fallout, leading to more prolonged disruptions, while others believe it prevented a deeper recession and helped some businesses stay afloat. Trump's economic policies were certainly a departure from the norm. and their long-term impacts are still being debated by economists. Only time will tell how history judges this different approach to economics. Section 5, Biden versus Trump, a tale of two economies. Comparing the economic approaches of Biden and Trump is like comparing apples and oranges. Both are fruits, both provide sustenance, but they taste completely different. Biden's approach is more government-driven. He believes in using the power of the federal government to address social and economic problems. Think of it as a more hands-on approach, with the government playing an active role in shaping the economy. Trump, on the other hand, favors a more laissez-faire approach, with less government intervention and a greater emphasis on the free market. He believes that businesses and individuals, not the government, are the primary drivers of economic growth. Which approach is better? There's no easy answer. It depends on your economic philosophy, your values, and your vision for the role of government in society. Section 6, the data doesn't lie, numbers tell the story. Let's get down to brass tacks and look at some cold, hard data. Numbers can often reveal truths that are hidden beneath the surface of political rhetoric and media soundbites. Under Trump, the unemployment rate fell from 4.7% to 3.5% before the pandemic. This was a significant achievement, reflecting a robust job market and economic growth. The stock market also reached record highs, with major indices like the Dow Jones and S&P 500 hitting unprecedented levels. This surge was driven by strong corporate earnings and investor confidence. However, the trade deficit widened and the national debt increased significantly. These issues were exacerbated by tax cuts and increased government spending. The pandemic, of course, threw a wrench into everything, sending the economy into a tailspin. Businesses closed, unemployment spiked, and economic activity ground to a halt. Under Biden, the economy has recovered significantly since the pandemic-induced recession. Stimulus packages and vaccination efforts have helped to revive economic activity. Unemployment is back down to historic lows, and the stock market has continued to climb, though with some volatility. This reflects both optimism and uncertainty in the market. However, inflation has been a persistent challenge, reaching a 40-year high in 2022. Rising prices for goods and services have put pressure on consumers and businesses alike. The national debt has also continued to rise, fueled by pandemic spending and other government programs. This raises concerns about long-term fiscal sustainability. It's important to note that these numbers don't tell the whole story. Economic indicators can be influenced by a range of factors, including global events, technological changes, and demographic shifts. Economic trends are influenced by a myriad of factors, both domestic and global, and it's difficult to isolate the impact of any one president's policies. Understanding the full picture requires a nuanced analysis of multiple data points and their interconnections.